Hello everyone, welcome to Marian's World. Our book is actually finished, and so what you're going to see now, if you carry on watching, is the final page and the putting together of the whole thing right to the very end. There's bookmarks, there's a clasp, and there's a bit of going on in the middle because the book wouldn't lie flat, and now it does. I hope you enjoy it. I'm on my final page in my book, unbelievably, and today I'm doing Red Campion, and I have it all over my garden. It's really pretty. So today I'm going to try and get the Campion page done and then try and sort out this spine, because as you can see my book doesn't close properly because of how I did the stump work. My supplies for today are just my book page. I've got some felt. I've got my Inktense because I'm going to be painting, brushes, and I'm going to do some quite large campions. This cotton is bonded with Bondaweb, and so I've drawn out already the big flowers, and I just need to paint them in really. So I'm going to over embroider these as well, trying not to use too much water. I'm not bothered about going over my drawn lines because I'll be drawing them in again. The paint's dry, so I just need these to be defined whilst also being easy enough to cut out, but also I need something for my stitching to go. So I'm just going to cut out this little piece, and I can take my backing fabric off here, and so now that's just bonded ready to iron onto my page, but I'm going to do some over stitching first. I've taken a very pale pink from my thread tangle, and I'm just going to stitch in the veins of these flowers just with straight stitches. And I'm going to make sure I don't go outside of that black line because that is where I will be cutting. And I just need a few of these on each petal just to enhance what's there. And the single thread really gives a good, delicate finish. Well, I'll come back to you when I've got these done. I've got my flowers all over stitched, and I've just used some yellow in little straight stitches for the stamens in the middle, and I've outlined with a bit of stem stitch just where they're supposed to be pink, and I wanted it to stand out more. So there's no need to worry about where the Inktense is spread, because the whole point is we're going to cut these out now, ready to apply to the book. It's always just cut straight forward all the time and move the paper or the fabric. Don't move your scissors around and about. Just cut forward and move everything else. And so I am being careful. I've made sure that none of my sewing threads are going over where it's likely to get cut. And all I need in the end are my flowers and stems so that I can arrange them onto my page. I think this is going to look really pretty. So there's number one's done anyway. Like that. I'll get the others done. I've got all my elements cut out, and now I just have to make an arrangement on my page. So I'll start off with that stem. Need a calyx going up for one of the flowers. Need a bud. I can use this flower to just go on top of that. something like that. So all I need to do now is iron that down, and then I'm ready to do my writing, and I hope this time I don't make a mistake. Final press, and this should be done. I think that looks a really pretty study of a Campion. Well, here goes, but I'm going to start off here with just Red Campion. No, there's another lovely one. I'll do this one down here. Robin in the Robin in the hedge. I think that's it. So of course I'm nearly on the finish now, and what I need to do is sort out the spine of the book. So I'm going to put this in, and that will be my last page. My spine doesn't close, and I'm not very happy about that. So I think I've come up with a solution. I'm actually going to cut this book in half. I actually thought about doing a whole new cover, but I don't particularly want to, because I like this and I like that. I think I just need a bigger spine, and so I'm going to cut this in half. And now I can add in a bigger spine with this fabric. I'm going to cut that fabric too, and I will work that out. I'm going to pad it with a little bit of the felt. I'll cut a new felt spine out. Well, I've come up with a plan, and so by cutting the book in half and standing it like that, I can see exactly how much extra spine I needed, so for it to stand nicely. And so what I've done is I've cut out a piece of pelmet viling that I had left over from my sewing my bedroom curtains, and I'm going to cut that exactly to that size, and then I'm going to cover it with the original fabric from the inside of the book, and then I'm going to sew my pages to the spine, and then I'm going to do the outer spine separately, because now I can. I've got a piece of felt. I've got these two pieces, which are neither of which are long enough, so they're just going to get put on together, and I am going to make that into a spine and embroider it and embellish it how I like, and then the whole thing's going to come together and hopefully it'll work. I'm ready to start and put everything together. I have prepared both of the spines. So I have got the inner spine on top of the pelmet viling. It's quite stiff, and I've also prepared the outer spine on top of the felt, and I'm actually going to stitch that. But the first things first is I need the pages stitched to the inner spine. Now originally I would have done a bonny stitching where the fabric, where the stitching would have been part of the outer spine, but things change and I am not doing that now. So I've used my great big needle and I've put one hole right the way through the middle of my book, right the way through and through the inner spine, and I am going to stitch the whole thing together. Going to go in through my spine in through my pages. 1, 2, 3. I have to check I haven't put any ones upside down now. So I need 2 holes each side of the inner spine of the middle. I want to keep everything together. I'm going to push this through to make the hole. Make sure it's coming up exactly where I need it to be. It is. Hold my spine and then put my needle through. I'm going to go back through, but I'm going to put the hole in from the inside so I know that my middle page is going to look perfect. My needle's going to come back in there. That's my first stitching done. So I'm going to come back through those same holes. Back through that one. Back through the middle one. Make my bottom holes and then back up to the middle again. Handy having a great big flipping thing like this. I think it's an upholstery needle or a saddlery needle. And so all I need to do now is come back up through that hole again. It's on the back, so I'll go through there. I'm just going to tie this off because this is actually going to be hidden. Now it's not going to be a visible binding. Okay, so my book's now on a spine. And so the next bit is embroider that, sew it onto there, and sew the covers back on. And I think that's going to look great. I think I'm about ready to put everything back together. My book is on the spine. Here's my outer spine. So I covered the felt. I've painted in the laundry button and sewn it on. Done a little bit of filigree work. Painted another laundry button with my initials and just done a bit of whipped stem stitch there. And now I've got some variegated single, quite fine pearl cotton in my needle, and I am going to attach the spine to each of these cut off pieces. I'm actually going to do a bit of cross stitch. And I think I'm going to do it a little bit haphazard, so it actually looks like it's been taken apart and put back together. Because I think I'll quite like that. I'm going to be quite even, but I'm just going to do separate little crosses, holding my spine in place. Attaching it all the way down. Well, this is what my spine looks like now. I've finished doing the cross stitching. I think it looks really nice. I changed that bit of filigree, I didn't like it at all, and I've just gone with some chain stitches and whip running stitch just to make it look like the image that I put on the back, which was just my practice painting bit when I was showing you how to do it. And I've just put my MH on the little laundry button. That's one of the laundry buttons. I think it looks really nice. And so I've already started to stitch the whole thing together. So I'm stitching the inner spine onto the outer edge, and I'll stitch it along the top. And the bit I still have to do is to stitch that inner spine onto there. It's sort of a backwards way of putting the book together in a way, with having to cut it in half. But if it means that the book is sitting nicely, then I'm more happy than the way it was. It just didn't, when I started it and put the book outer covers together in the first place, I didn't even realise I'd be doing some stump work inside. And so things change. So I've said before, things change. We just cope with it and go forward. There's always something you can do. And so cutting my book in half was what I did to get over it. And so I'm just going to continue. I'm almost finished. I've ladder stitched all the way along there and it's nice and tight now. I just have this piece to finish, and I thought I would tuck in a little bookmark. So I've got a little bit of goldish coloured ribbon, and I'm just going to push it down there. So that's one advantage of having this spine done separately, is now I can hide this little piece of ribbon down here and stitch it in. So it is a little tricky, it's a bit of tricky stitching, but nothing too dreadful. I think I would revisit this way of doing the spine in the future. I think all the people who've done lots and lots of fabric books, they must be cringing at the fact that I cut my book in half instead of just making a new one. But you just learn how to do different things, and this is the first time I've done this type of a book that wasn't the slot and tab method of my original book that is the very first video on this channel. So next time I'd wait until all my pages were done before I did the cover and the spine. I have cut a bit of pelmet filing and I've painted on a bee because I thought that would be lovely. I've put a little slit through the top of the pelmet filing to thread the ribbon through, and I'm going to stitch that together. Well, I've been sorting through all sorts to design a clasp for here, because I wanted a clasp rather than a ribbon. And I think I found something. I've been all through, look, this is my tin. This is my tin just for hooks and eyes and press studs and covered buttons. That tin didn't come up with anything in the end, even though I've tried and tried. So then I'm on to my, this is an old powder container. This is where I keep buckles. So really old vintage buckles, and that's a bag clasp, but it's no good for this. But what I did have in the bottom of here, and I'm not quite sure what they're from, but they're really pretty, and I like that they're silver. I kept thinking, were they off a nurse's uniform, or I actually don't know what they're off, but I have pairs of them. So I am actually going to use one of these and one of these. And I think it's going to go like this. So I'm going to sew that bit onto there, and I'm going to sew that bit onto there, and then I can open and close my book. So I'm going to try that. Well, it's worked. I'm really happy with it. I've put the whole part of it on with some purple thread on the front, and the hook part of it I could only attach by one hole, and I've just made a little lazy daisy pretty bit, but it actually just works really nicely to keep the book closed. So that's another thing that I didn't know I was going to do, but it's worked out well. So this is it finished. My book stands up nicely. It's not all weird anymore. It's not all higgledy-piggledy because of the stump work. I'm pleased I changed that bit of embroidery to the little stem so it matched the little piece on the back. And so I can take you on a quick tour through my finished book. Painting, embroidery and bonding for the primroses. That was a nice technique to do. Nettles, again, was painting, stitching and bonding. Viola was the first of the stump work, which ended up causing the problem with the thick pages. But the leaves are all separate with their lovely fabric and buttonhole stitch around the wire, and a long and short stitch for the viola itself. Forget-me-nots with a petal stitch and fly stitch leaves. The daisies with the lovely detached picot, which really did make a really pretty daisy, and French knots in the middle. The beautiful Hapazomi crane's bills that I did on Midsummer's Day, they got stitched and really look, I really like this middle spread. And there's my lovely bee bookmark in the middle. The honeysuckle, well, that was the culprit for making my book really thick, but I really enjoyed doing it. I loved wrapping the stems. I loved the way the buds came out. I'd definitely be doing a honeysuckle life size because I'd really like to do those flowers a little bit better than I did there. Slow stitch dog rose with the lace overlay, and the 2 ribbon work pages with the foxgloves and bluebells. And one of the best things for me really was this lovely running stitch that was just interlaced, because it looks really pretty. And finally my Red Campions, again painted, stitched and bonded. I think I am going to do something with the writing. I think I will paint them in. The spines all look lovely in the end. I've got a nice finish on the top and the bottom and the little padded spine, and then there we are, and then I can just push it to close. Oh, look at that. Can you believe I've finished? Because I definitely can't. And I'm really pleased with the little book, and it took me a little while to work out how to do the clasp. There was about 3 different things that I tried. Hope that anybody who's been trying to do something the same gets on really well with theirs and ends up with a lovely book as well. So now that this is finished, I will be carrying on with the bird book for a little while longer yet. But on a Wednesday I'll be trying to put in some other things, because there's a lot of things that's been piling up while I was finishing this off. And so I hope you'll still keep watching, and maybe put the bell thing on that'll tell you when I'm putting new videos out, because there won't be the flower pages to look out for. It'll be something different. There's so much going on that I'm not actually sure which one will be the next Wednesday video at the moment, but there will be something. It just won't be the flower book because it's now finished. And I'm just going to leave it there and say thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for pressing the like button, sending a comment. I have to remember to say all the things you're supposed to say. Just thank you very much. Thank you for sending super thanks. Thank you everybody, and thank you for being down the other side of the camera lens. And bye from Marion's World, and I'll see you next time.